What are your top three financial goals that you've achieved?
Okay, so I could become a crorepati not once but twice. I could invest in properties which I'd never dreamt of, and multiple of them. I could financially support my children's education without having to take a loan at all. I could support my daughter's higher education abroad without having to take a single penny of a loan.
Welcome to yet another episode of Beyond Her Story, an interview podcast with the Wonder Women around us. Today we have with us a financial empowerment advocate, Purnima Parameshwaran. With over 2 decades of experience in the mutual funds and insurance industry, Purnima is a certified mutual funds distributor and IRDAI certified life insurance advisor. Her mission is to guide and empower women in their financial journey, helping them achieve financial independence. Now, this definitely will be an interesting conversation as we explore Purnima's insights and expertise in the world of wealth creation and financial literacy, subjects that many may feel are not typically associated with women. Welcome, Purnima.
Hi, Sneha. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be associated with Wonder Woman. And you are, in your own right, a Wonder Woman yourself, because you are trying to bring the best out of, the women that surround us. Each of them have their own stories, and we can
Yeah,
take inspiration from. So I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words, Purnima. So, shall we start?
Of course.
Yeah. So we'll start from the beginning. Like we all know that, women are not inclined towards understanding finances much, though it's a myth in some cases. So how did you start your own financial journey? And what got you into this whole wealth coaching?
So, see, Sneha, as a young professional, I was introduced to the world of equities, stock markets, and mutual funds through my very first employer, who happened to be a Tata company. So the roots for the finance management and stuff around that were sown in my initial days as soon as I was out of college, and that being my first employment. Moving forward as a young mother, I was then determined to start, saving early. The success that I have achieved through the magic of compounding through mutual funds is a success story that I would like to replicate with each and every woman I encounter in my life. And so that's my mission, and that's why I always state that I want to empower as many as 1 lakh women or more with what magic that I have achieved in my life. So that is why
Yeah,
I chose single-mindedly to become a wealth coach for financial well-being for women.
wow. That's amazing, actually. I mean, your journey itself is amazing. And then wanting to make a change in other women's life, I think that's true empowerment.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, mutual funds, they are the rage of today, right? Like everybody and anybody talks about mutual funds. So,
Right.
why do you think they are a game changer for women who are looking to, improve their financial goals?
See, when it comes to mutual funds, in comparison to any other investment options, they are the most flexible tools for investment. You just can decide on a goal, and depending on your budget, it's as flexible as starting with a small amount of say 500, and then you 500 per month, and then you keep up topping up the same year on year. You can start anytime, you can exit easily, and the beauty of mutual funds is that they offer a disciplined and systematic approach, and we women are very good at something which is disciplined and systematic, because we try to inculcate that in our children as well, and some of our family members as well. So we are quite rooting for somebody to be disciplined. So in the same manner, if we practice systematic approach towards disciplined investing, mutual funds is the only answer to that. It's easy on the pocket, it's easy to execute, it gives you complete peace of mind. You don't need to do all the math, you don't need to have any strong financial background, you don't need to do hardcore analysis. You can leave that to the mutual funds managers who are there in the background to do that for you. So creating wealth through an easy tool like mutual funds is the most simple answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but do you find when you interact with women, do they understand how mutual funds work, or do you have to start from the basics? Like, what has been your experience?
So it has always been starting from the start, because it all begins with trusting oneself. Many women still continue to be in the shadows of their own fears of not wanting to experiment with something new, always dependent on the men folk for taking their financial decisions. It's as simple as driving a car. You have an A, B, C. You have an accelerator, brake, and clutch. That's all you need to know, and then you can navigate through any of the roads. So
Correct.
mutual funds again are so simple that it takes away the burden of having to think through a lot of things. So once you have decided in the mind, you just need to get hold of a good mutual fund advisor and get started. So it all begins from where you start, and the sooner you start, the better you build for yourself.
True. I think that is one thing which we need to empower the younger generation so that, they can start at the age where it is, the right, there's nothing like a right age, but then, if you start right at younger age, I think then they can easily plan their financial journey as well. I think that's one
Right.
thing that helps, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The key is to start
Yeah.
early.
So, how do you help women custom tailor their investment plans to match their life plans? Like maybe that's what I know, that you can plan things based on whether you have weddings or post retirement or something like that, right? So, is that
Yeah. So
how you plan things?
yeah, so basically it all starts with financial literacy, making ourselves aware, and as we go along, setting goals for different milestones in our life helps in the process. It's very essential to start with a goal based investment. So for each milestone in your life, if you assign a goal and then you map your investments towards that goal, whether it is a short term goal or it is a long term goal, and you involve your family and let them know of your plans of how you wish to have a financial future ahead, it will help empower them as well. So that's where you bring in the younger generation as early as you have planned for yourself, so they are aware, and then they can follow you in their future life as well. So goal based investments is always beneficial, because then you don't end up randomly investing in things where you didn't want to be in the first place. There's a lot of misselling that happens across various platforms, across
Yeah.
various ventures like banking and insurance. And the only way to avoid that is have a goal and have a good advisor behind you who understands your goals and also aligns your investment portfolio to match with those goals.
So, based on your experience, what do you think is the right time that youngsters should start investing?
So the key is to start early and stay invested for the long term. Um, Saving for a rainy day is not something that people follow. It only stays in the proverbs. It only stays in those stories. People really don't believe. They believe in living for today and they believe in living for the immediate future. But you need to think long term. You need to be doing things differently. You need to be doing if you want something, they say that if you want something that you never had, then you have to do things you've never done before. So,
Yeah, true.
so when you
Very
start
true.
doing and implementing things in that fashion, you would know that staying long term is the only alternative. There is no overnight scheme that's going to make you a crorepati. There are no get rich quick schemes which are going to help you in the longer haul. So it's like there's no second way to disciplined and sustainable investing, and that's the only way that you can allow your money to show the magic of compounding. So just like there's no substitute for hard work, there's also no substitute for disciplined investing.
I agree completely. But I think one thing is, when we were young, I mean, 2, 3 decades ago, mutual funds
Mm.
and SIPs they were there, but people were not too much inclined in investing, right? In SIPs or mutual funds. So let's say somebody who are in our age range, maybe 40 plus or so if they want to start now, do you think it's still a good idea? And are there ways that they can plan it too?
Yes, sure. So mutual funds has something for everyone. If we start from the people who are about to retire, they are about to get a huge corpus of money which they would like to invest and get a monthly return. Then there are schemes other than SIPs. Mutual funds are not only about SIPs; they are also about SWPs and STPs and various other things. So
Okay,
to stay away from the jargon and not confuse people too much. So if you are a retiree or you're going to retire, you can invest money in something called a systematic withdrawal plan. So where you invest a lump sum amount and you give instructions to the mutual fund house that every month I would like to withdraw a certain amount of money, which I can, retire with, basically get a monthly income even after my retirement. If you are somebody who is in your mid 40s, then you have a 20-year time period still left with you. So you can begin, of course, the corpus that you would have made had you started as early in your 20s or in your 30s is not going to be the same if you start in 40. So as I said earlier, the key is to start early and wait for the long term. So even if you are in your 40s and you start now, you still have at least about 15-20 years of time on your hand. And this whole thing about investments is being invested for a long term. So again, starting early and being there for the long term. So people who are in their 20s and if they join the bandwagon right now, they can experience what is called as the fire method. And these are all
okay,
again jargons. So you retire early. By 40s they are free to do their will. They can opt for early retirement and join a passion that they have always been wanting to do, but then all that becomes a dream once you've reached 40s and you've not done anything about it.
true. So now you've been talking a lot about compounding, and that's what we hear when people talk about mutual funds and investments, that the power of
Yeah,
compounding. So can
right.
you give us a little lowdown on how it's like growing money and how women can cash in on this investment and the power of compounding?
Right. Okay, so when we were in school, we were taught simple interest, compound interest. We saw math sums about that, and we didn't do anything about it. Okay, we just left
Correct.
it the moment we stepped out of schools. But
True.
that in real life, in practical life, is what helps money to compound. So basically, you invest an amount which is known as the principal amount. You earn interest at the end of each year. That interest, as long as you don't take it out, the interest goes on adding to the principal, and then you start earning interest on interest. So this interest on interest again every year is getting interest on interest on interest on interest, and that's how the money compounds, and that's how
Okay.
you see the money tree grow. That's called the power of compounding. So again, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to stay sustained and disciplined on the path of investment. And as long as you do that, this magic will work for you and for everyone who do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. But is there like, it's like maybe the longer you keep, the longer you reap the benefits of the power of
Yes,
compounding, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And there is
Yeah.
also an analogy which usually is done when we explain this power of compounding. So people who start with small investments, you've heard of these Chinese bamboo tree, the bamboo tree basically.
Yeah.
So when you start, when a farmer, sows the seeds of the bamboo, he knows that for the first 5 years he's not going to see any growth. But then he's at it year after year. So the first 3 years you will not see anything. Maybe just the shoots would grow just a little above the ground. After 5 years of continued nurturing and harvesting the crop, between the first day to the next, I think, 90 days or so, you see the bamboo tree has shot up, has shot
Okay.
up way above the ground. And that's how this sustained investment program is to be seen as. Nothing can be seen if you stay invested for the short term, but definitely if you're there in the long term, you cannot evade making money, because we are already on a growth path. India is writing its growth story. There are so many
True.
news and speculations about how the next 10 years are going to unfold for India. And if you don't catch the bus now, then you've missed it for good. So uh, time is not gone. You should start now. We've never been in this phase for a very long time ago, till a very long time ago. And there's nothing that is going to stop our growth now. So why not make it a part of your growth as well? This is just
Yeah.
basic, pure wisdom.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you manage holding the hands of women who are trying to get into this journey of financial investment growth? And how do you guide them through all the twists and turns?
Okay. So it all starts with, first of all, becoming aware. So I give them, a good 1 hour session. I understand where they're coming from, what their goals are, and how much they understand about savings and investments. Because saving is a different thing altogether, whereas investing that to get the benefits out of it is a totally different ball game. So not many understand the difference between savings and investment. So it's just like 100 rupee put in a piggy bank will just stay as 100 rupee. Whereas if you invest it in the right tools, in the right vehicles, it's going to compound and earn money for you. So that's passive income. Not many understand this. uh, and they are also fear doing something out of the ordinary, going out of their comfort zone, and not doing something that they have ever done before. So once they overcome their inner fears, then the journey ahead is smooth. And then it comes to the tools that you have to have, like need to have an updated Aadhaar, your PAN has to be there, you need to have a bank account, your email ID should be functional, you need to have a checkbook with your name printed on it. Old checkbooks will not do. You should know how
Yeah.
to operate your ATM card. You should know how to operate your internet banking. You need to have your own passwords. All this is part of the learning curve. People need to really come out of their shadows and overcome their fears of coming into a different world altogether. But you cannot
Yeah.
be left behind. You have no choice but to catch up with these things. So there have been women whom I have coached. I've actually helped them open their internet banking, went with them to the ATM, got their
Okay.
green pins activated, taught them how to, operate it for themselves, change passwords, and do those things. So that is also equally required, because not everybody
Yeah.
has the patience to teach these
Correct.
women who have been left behind in the growth journey. People are so busy these days. Even children don't have time for their parents. So
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, so they say that you can just leave it to me, you don't need to bother. That's the answer that they get. But when somebody is
Correct.
really determined to really know it, I go the extra mile to help such people. And some of my testimonials that I have published on my YouTube channel of Purna Nivesh shows how women have changed their mindset and tried to come out of the shadows to do something different that they've never done before.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. At least the effort that you take and the lengths that you go to, tell women how to start from the beginning. I mean, it's not just about investment, even, the basics of internet banking and using the ATM and all that. I think that will really empower them and, make them more confident about managing their finances well. I think that's an awesome thing that you're doing, Purnima.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time, for people who
I
are
know. Yeah,
totally new to this. It takes a long time to get adjusted to
yeah.
the newer surroundings.
So I think patience is something that you have a plenty, which actually helps
Yeah,
in all this, right?
yeah, it does, it does.
So, do you have any women who listen to you and then say, I still don't want to go ahead with it. It's okay if I'm dependent. Have you had such women too?
Oh yes, I mean, there are plenty of them around
Okay.
who take two steps forward and then 10 steps backwards. So, there's nothing that we can really do about it, but just, try and coach them whenever there's an opportunity, and try to bring them out once again. But
Yeah.
then it's totally up to them, to the individual who really wants to come out of the shadows or continue to go back to them. There's very little that we can do about it.
Correct. I think that's the main thing, right? They need to have that intention and that thing that, yeah, if I am financially independent, there are a lot of things that is open to you, right? In terms of,
Yes,
having a secure life, and also you being aware itself is a big thing. If you are aware of the things, then it makes a lot of difference in the way you handle your finances.
yes, it does, it does.
Yeah.
And there are also a lot of influential factors around you. These days there are a lot of social media influencers. They are called finfluencers.
Yeah.
There are so many friends, there are acquaintances who keep telling you, oh, this is a new scheme which has come. Oh, that's something new. I have done this. Why don't you try it out? And so these are things which try to divert you from your path. And it's very important that you need to have a right advisor who is interested in your own benefit rather than his or her own.
Yeah.
And so who can keep dragging you to the path, even though there are many other external influences that can come in the way of putting you on the right path.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that that's very important. So, Purnima, the coaching that you do is through Purna Nivesh. So, when did this start and how did you get this thought?
Okay, so it again goes back to when COVID happened. So when we were all forced into a work from home environment, there was complete lockdown, and there were several women whom I encountered in my immediate vicinity who lost their better halves, who lost their financial earning members, and they were clueless as to first of all, they were devastated. Secondly, they didn't know how to pick up the pieces of their life and move forward, because they had no idea of how many bank accounts their spouses had, or where all the monies were invested. and where to start from. And firstly, they needed to have a monthly income in place, which was suddenly taken away from them. So it was very hard on them, and I happened to encounter a few such women. And so I had a lot of time on hands at that time, and so I just you know gradually developed a fonding a phase where I decided that, okay, let me try and help them out. So just out of a social cause. And that's how it all began. I was surprised of how unenlightened women are when it comes to these aspects of their personal financial life, where the male counterparts completely sideline them or override them, restricting them just to the household work or taking care of the family and or the kids, that they never bother to look at this aspect, or which is a very important aspect of life, managing your finances or knowing where your finances are going. And I was totally surprised because we don't come from that background. Our parents have educated us well, and we have contributed to our own personal growth, that such a thing would never happen to us. But looking around, you might find one in every family, such a woman who is totally, deprived of all this knowledge, or has wantingly stayed away from that. And that is how, I decided that, I mean, even if I look at my own mother-in-law, she hardly knows anything about finances. So it stemmed out from that fact that, oh, these women should be made aware of, of what a financial life looks like, what they need to know, what is a good to know, what is a needed to know, and what is a must have. And that's how this all started. Um, but I mean, after I had, coached these people, I realized that, who am I? I don't have any credentials. I don't have the right, a placard to project that, look, I am this and I can do this for you. So that's when I
Yeah.
thought that, let me make it official. Let me start this as a pet project. And to be able to do that, I really needed to have a certain amount of qualification. So I just researched and found out that, there are avenues of becoming an advisor for mutual funds, and then also becoming an advisor for insurance, which could parallelly help these learnings for women. Because as important an investment, financial investment is, equally important it is to secure those investments. Otherwise, god forbid, if you're not there tomorrow, and if you don't have the right kind of insurance or the adequate amount of insurance, all that will come to a naught one day. And since you're no longer there, you are not in control of the finances, whatever you had planned for or had a goal
Yeah.
for. So it started out from that point of view. And then uh, as gradually I progressed on that path, and once I was financially qualified for this, officially qualified, not financially qualified for this, I decided that I would, give this project a name, and it had to do something with my own name, and that's how Purna Nivesh came from. It also means, complete investment. So Purna means complete, and then Nivesh is investment. It also has 5 letters of my name, so it was strategic. So, I somehow decided to coin that as a name for my pet project. So I keep
Yes, sir.
calling this as a pet project. So Purna Nivesh is a pet project because we are not financially gaining anything from
Yeah.
whatever I am, sharing with the women folk. So that's what it is.
Yeah. I think that's amazing, the give back that you're doing through this pet project, what you call. I think it's really amazing.
Thank
So, as a wealth coach, what are the strategies you recommend for women who want to balance their short-term financial needs with their long-term wealth creation?
Okay, so when you have decided that you have to embark yourself on the path for investment, identifying your short-term and long-term goals is very crucial. So maybe you have a dream of buying a car or paying a down payment for a house, or you want to invest for your future education for your kids. So that's a long term goal. So identifying these various pockets is the first step. The next step is, what is the amount that you would need for each of these goals? So accordingly, you need to plan your investment. So for example, inflation is one big factor that harms the amount of money that we have today, because that's not going to be enough for us in the later years. So for example, if you need to plan for the investment of your child's education 20 years later or 10 years later, what you have today may not suffice. So you need to accordingly calculate the amount that you might require, considering inflation, considering the tax aspect of it, and then make a plan for a monthly investment or a long term investment plan. So this is where the mutual fund advisor or your investment advisor plays a role, where he or she can help you identify how much to have for now and how much to have for future. So if you have a goal which is just 2 years later, then accordingly there will be a different scheme map for you and a different amount that you can set aside for that, versus if you have a wedding or for an education plan for the long term, then accordingly you would need to embark on a different scheme, so that it gets balanced out and you are able to beat inflation as well, because beating inflation is crucial to wealth creation.
Uh, So you have mentioned about helping 1 lakh women investors achieve financial literacy. So can you elaborate on what is that approach you're taking to empower women?
Okay, so when I talk about trying to empower at least 1 lakh women, so that's my mission. So
Yeah.
Purna Nivesh would want to engage with, as many women as possible, and help them discover their journey towards financial freedom, and also being financially independent. So while doing that, I engage with women on a one-to-one basis or in a group, coaching session, where I help them identify and budget their own expenses. I help them identify the difference between needs and wants. This is something that many are not able to do, because they
Okay.
want to buy everything that they see. There's also peer pressure. There's also, a lot of societal pressure also, to be able to have so much worth of gold. You should be seen wearing so much of ornaments and, things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the immediate environment also plays a big role in how you spend. But as long as you have a focused coaching of your mind in that direction, so you are able to, whenever you're out, you are able to distinguish between what is your need and what is your want. You're able to have control on your credit card expenses and other impromptu expenses that you would love to have all the way. So this is the beginning. So having a goal, and then having a clear demarcation between your needs and wants, and then sitting down, looking at your monthly incomes, how much you can invest, and how much you need to insure yourself for. So all these are the various steps I take them through. Once all these steps are well imbibed in their minds, I then sit down with each of them to customize of where to invest, how to diversify your portfolio, how to have the right mixes of asset. There are various asset classes, but you cannot put all eggs in one basket, as they say. So you need to
Yeah.
diversify across different asset classes, build a strong portfolio, and it is not something that you can achieve in 1 month or 2 months or 6 months. It is uh, maybe a year-long project, because you may also have your ongoing loans that you may want to,
Yeah.
complete. And there are also things like, you may have borrowed from somebody. So it's very essential that you clear off all your loans first before you start making your emergency corpus. So there are, tips which are given along the way. So it's almost a year long plus project.
That's awesome, actually.
And
And the mission
yeah.
to help 1 lakh women, gain this knowledge and help them in the financial wealth creation part, I think. I mean, I have no words to say because it's such a noble thought, and the way you're doing it with, giving so much time and being patient with women to go through this journey. I think it's really commendable.
Well, I'm liking it, so that's why I'm doing this. So, unless you have a
Yeah.
liking for something, you cannot succeed. So, I'm proud that, I have a small, bunch of investors who are continuing with us, continuing with Purna Nivesh. And uh, I like the way they ask questions, and I like the way they come to me saying that, oh, this is a new scheme. Should we consider that?
Yeah.
So it feels good because, women have started thinking out of the box. They have,
Yeah. Correct.
migrated from the kitchen, and they are coming into the
Yeah.
world of finances. So it gives me a new high every time, somebody comes up with,
Correct.
such kind of intelligent questions.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Uh, so, what role does financial literacy play in helping women make informed financial decisions? Like, is there any specific way they can increase their financial knowledge?
So financial literacy begins with having the necessary tools to save and invest. So beyond, knowledge, uh, several women, as I said, they lack basic understanding of how to operate, internet banking, how to use an ATM card, using OTP through various platforms, paying through Google Pay. Many women shy away from that because they say, Google Pay is not something that I would like to do.
Yeah.
So these are the various things that, women need to understand, that, you cannot say no to this. This is growth, and you cannot just run away from this. There is no option but for you to learn and understand these systems, because tomorrow the world is going to take over and you will be left behind. So financial
Yeah.
literacy, is much more than, theoretical knowledge. It's much more than practical knowledge. It is about having the basic tools even before you start thinking of making yourself financially aware. So once you have these things with you, then there's no stopping you. You will start feeling confident and will become empowered to, handle your own finances. So Purna Nivesh helps them in many such areas. Where they are able to then, get a good understanding, not only through, bookish knowledge, but also through practical knowledge. Yeah.
I think it makes sense because, just listening and hearing, getting knowledge is one thing, but then when you actually start doing it, there are a lot of things which you start understanding
Yeah.
better, I think.
Yes, I mean, I have encountered, these bunch of investors whom I have with me, I've encountered cases where their date of birth on the PAN is different from the date of birth on their Aadhaar. That itself is such a big no, because you
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
have this. You need to have your documents right. You cannot
Yeah.
have a different date of birth. You cannot. The husband is 5 years younger to the wife. I mean, and she didn't know about it till the time she presented me her Aadhaar and
Documents.
PAN.
Yeah.
So it starts with that. I mean, your basic fundamentals are not clear. You have a checkbook, but your name is not printed on it. No one would accept it in these times. So things like that, it's very
Yeah.
important. But people don't pay much attention to that till the time there is an actual need uh, and an emergency.
Yeah. I think that's very true. Actually, even people like us, we maybe know it at a broader level, but I think the kind of knowledge that you have and shared with us today, I think it's made a lot of difference. I'm sure, people who are listening to it also will start thinking about starting their investment journey right now, right today, because I think that's the need of
I
the
would be
hour, right?
glad. I would
Yeah,
be glad. I would be glad if I'm able to make a small difference in their lives. I think
yeah,
my mission would have been accomplished. Yes.
yeah. So, we are done with the questions for today on your wealth coaching and the tips that you shared with us today, which have really been insightful. Yeah, I know. Uh,
Thank you.
so, we'll have few questions as rapid fire, and you
Okay,
have
sounds
to answer,
interesting.
yeah, answer rapidly. That's the condition.
Okay. All right.
So,
Bring it on.
what is your favorite financial book that you would recommend to everyone?
Oh, I have a collection. I would say for beginners, you must read The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's also Think and Grow Rich. There's also the Psychology of
Strategy
Money.
of money. Yeah.
All, yeah, these are very good books, that I would recommend. And on a regular basis, also, there's this magazine called ET Wealth, which is by Economic Times, which really brings out all the latest in finance. So that is something that I would encourage people to read and understand of what's going on, because it also has a lot of other important information like nominations, how important it is to have a nominee, how to make a will, and why you need to make
Wow.
a will, and how to safeguard your finances in case you're heading for a divorce. So all these things, which is very, very important to know all these days. So, it's a collection.
All right. Yeah, I think I have read the most of the books you've mentioned other than the ET Times, is it?
ET Wealth, ET Wealth.
ET Well. Okay. Yeah, I should keep that in
Yeah.
mind then. Uh, so what's one financial lesson you've learned through your own experience?
Ah, it's never too late to start, and don't fear once you have started on this journey. There's no looking
Wow,
back.
that's amazing. So, dream travel destination you're saving up for?
Dream travel destination. Well, actually, I have traveled most countries, so there is no dream travel destination.
Wow, that's
But yes,
amazing.
yes. So I would like to explore more of India, because through my profession, I have, I think navigated most of the popular countries, and there is no better place like India, and which is what I have very little explored of our own country. So my dream destination would be all the beautiful places that India has to offer.
That's amazing. Uh, your go-to self-care activity to unwind yourself?
Walking. I love
Sorry?
nature walks. Walking.
Walking. Oh, wow.
Yes. I enjoy my morning walks. I enjoy my late evening walks. But that is the time. That's my actual me time, because there is no one else who is barging in on my personal space at that time, because I leave my phones behind. I just listen to a podcast, and some of them are Wonder Woman podcasts also, and I
Wow.
listen to music.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
anything that enriches me early in the morning, is good for me.
Oh, very nice. And I liked specifically the Wonder Woman part of it.
Oh, of course, I'm going to recommend people to listen to that.
Yeah, thank you. What are your top three financial goals that you've achieved?
Okay, so I could become a crorepati not once but twice. I could invest in properties which I had never dreamt of, and multiple of them. I could financially support my children's education without having to take a loan at all. I could support my daughter's higher education abroad without having to take a single penny of a loan. And apart from doing all that, we are still, we have about 15 years of earnings to support us. Plus, we have our PF and different things where monies are invested. So I think we are good till the end of our lives.
Yeah, I think you'll be a role model to many because, I mean, not just talking about it, you're walking the talk too. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what's the most rewarding aspect of being a wealth coach and helping women achieve financial independence?
Oh, the spark in their eyes and the confidence with which they move around when they talk about, as if they have seen or gotten a new toy that they always wanted. So it's very rewarding when they speak highly of of the path that they undertook with such confidence. It really is very heartening for me to know that they appreciate the path that they have chosen, and they appreciate the advisor in me. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks to all those
I think
women. Yeah,
it makes it totally worth it when you see that, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, we are done with the rapid fire. It
Oh,
was
thank you.
it was, I think, long answers rather than short answers this time. Normally we have
Yes.
this or that, but you being
Okay.
a
Okay.
financial expert, we thought we'll ask you about similar questions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, before we conclude, do you have any final thoughts or messages that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, there's this beautiful quote that I came across. I think it's Claire Lucy, if the name is right, but the quote goes like, a woman's best protection is a little money of her own. So uh, that
Yeah,
is
it's a
something that
short sentence,
that
but it makes so much sense, right?
yes, it speaks volumes of where
Yeah,
women are and where they need to get to. So it
correct.
describes the whole journey, and in that short quote. So I really like that. A woman's best protection is a little money of her own.
Amazing. So, just one last thing. Is there any place where our viewers can reach you? We can put those links in the description so people can reach out to you.
Yeah, sure. So my Insta name, my Facebook name, and my YouTube name all go by the same name as Purna Nivesh, as in PurnaNivesh, Purna Nivesh. And even the website is of the same name. And my number is 9930966224. And I can be reached on this number on WhatsApp as well as on phone calls. And my email ID is purna.nivesh@gmail.com. So all these avenues are there. You just make a start and then get started.
Awesome. So we'll
Thank you.
leave the links also so that people can reach out easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you once again, Purnima, for taking the time out and enriching us with, financial knowledge, which is very much required, which everyone knows, I think, which most of the women are aware of, but it's just taking that first step is what I think is very important, which you are doing a fabulous job of.
Thank you so much, Sneha. Thank you, Wonder Woman. And it was lovely being with you all, spending time and sharing whatever little I know about finance and investments. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you once again.